I feel it's important to follow these principles because you need a principle to follow. You want to have something that kind of gives you the roadmap to success.
The mindset is the foundation. Without that, you can't build from there.
Mindset's definitely key to starting off the day right, so that way I can deal with whatever challenges happen throughout the day.
We need to be strategic with our focus and have the list of things to do that really matter.
I start out my morning and I write down the steps I need to make and the things I need to do, and then as I do them, I check them off my list.
Distractions do come into play.
You never know what's going to come up when you wake up in the morning.
Life is just moving so fast and there's so much stuff going on. You have to come back to your goals.
When I don't have a plan, it seems like whatever happens in the day runs my day.
Emails come in, a phone call. One phone call can change my whole day.
My phone becomes a distraction, and I have to put it away and I have to balance out my life.
You want to be out there and have a social media presence, but everyone knows it's just a big, huge distraction.
Some of the challenges are things that pop up in life. I mean, we got families, we got other obligations.
Kids, sports, everything, which is good because the better your plan is, the easier it is not to get distracted.
As you go through the day, circumstances will modify that plan for you. I guess it's the old proverb that the limb that doesn't bend with the wind will break.
Yeah, to win the day in real estate, it's your accomplishments. You know, it's putting people into homes.
Is at the end of the day accomplishing what you set out to accomplish.
And you're excited to wake up for the next day. That's winning the day, is when you're ready to take on tomorrow.
Having a plan and then being able to accomplish that and then fit some extra stuff in.
You have to work hard at it. It's a little bit of luck, but that's not going to carry you very far.
Developing the habits is particularly challenging.
There's only so many hours in the day, and if you aren't strategic, you can end up wasting a lot of time.
And when you have those other things going for you, the mindset with the plan, you know you're going to put in the effort to make sure that the hard work gets done and you get results from that.
By using these principles, it helps keep you more focused so you can have these distractions come up and you still can accomplish the things you're trying to accomplish.
I think he shaves it because he's going bald. Maybe.
He's been going bald since he's about 10, 11 years old, so it's been a while now.
I call it the corporate cut.
No, actually, I don't think that's why he shaves his head. I've checked it out.
I think he's too young to go bald.
No, I just think he makes him faster. The guy's always running around. He needs to be as aerodynamic as possible.
Last question here might be the most important. Why do you shave your head?
Because I'm losing my hair, and it's pretty simple, isn't it? Honestly, it's just a time saver.
So shaving your hair contributes to MPH squared.
Absolutely. You know, I owe everything in life to shaving my head. I don't know. All right. Well, thanks, David, for having some fun with that video. Okay, you guys, in your folder, you have the worksheet, so you can follow along with that. That's going to bring you right through the slides that we're going to do. So first, before we get started, I want everyone to grab your phone out. Let's grab your phone. By now, you've already realized it needs to be on silent or on vibrate, right? I want you to take it, right? And I want you to lay it on the floor in front of you. We're going to come back. We're going to need that in a little bit. So grab your phone and put it on the floor in front of you. So I have a question. Does anyone know what the average attention span of a goldfish is? It is 9 seconds. A goldfish has an attention of 9 seconds. Now, in the year 2000, Microsoft and Harvard did a study that said that the attention span of a human was 12 seconds. So we were, 25% better than a goldfish, right? Well, they redid the same study 15 years later in 2015 to see the effects that technology is having on us. And guess what? We now have an attention span of 8 seconds. So congratulations, ladies and gentlemen, right? We now have less of an attention span than a goldfish. See, the truth is that we live in a more and more distracted society, right? Well, you guys agree with me. We have an epidemic of distraction. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about the epidemic of distraction. And here's a good video to show you that epidemic.
It's time for a phone to save us from our phones. New Windows Phone.
Ironically, that is a ad for a phone, right? So the truth is that we have such an epidemic that I have to show a video in the first 2 minutes of the seminar, or else I don't have your attention, right? If you want to give a good seminar, you have to give it. So tonight we're going to talk about the culture of distraction in America, why you should care and what you should do. Okay, so before we can talk about what we're going to do, we have to get you to admit that there is a problem, right? The first step in anything is admitting that there is a problem and that you're a part of it. So I need to convince you of that. So let's first start with something that we all agree on, is that kids are more distracted than ever, okay? So we know that the younger generation is distracted, and we can see it in numbers. According to the Center for Disease Control, in 2011, 6.4 million kids were diagnosed with ADHD. That's 11%. I believe it's 11%, right? So the percentage has been increasing year over year. In 2003, it was 7.8%. In 2011, it's 11%, all right? So we're seeing the number of kids that are diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactive disorder increasing. And I know what we all say. We all have a theory. We all say to ourselves, okay, why are kids distracted? We've all been that person in the supermarket. You see the kid that's distracted and out of control, and what do you think? Let's just admit it. What do you think? The kid just needs a good whooping, right? I mean, come on. He just needs to be disciplined. That's why he's so distracted, right? But I think we need to admit that there's also something external causing that, right? So you might have heard me share the story, but I want to share it again because it was a moment when I realized that it's not fair for me to look at my son and say that, well, I didn't have to, wasn't that way. Why is he? So this moment happened in Thanksgiving Day this year. So Sean, as a runner, if it's 60 degrees on Thanksgiving Day, what are you doing? You're running, right? So it's 60 degrees Thanksgiving Day, and we haven't had dinner yet, and I'm going, Zeke, let's go for a run. So he goes, yeah, he's going to ride his bike. I don't push. He rides his bike alongside me, and so we're riding around town, and we go by the art gallery. And when we go by the art gallery, I see a telephone booth with a Christmas tree inside it. We went back and took the picture later. So there's a telephone booth with a Christmas tree inside it. So I'm running by, and Zeke's at that age where he asks me lots of questions, and it's my job to educate him. What's a flathead screwdriver? What's a Phillips head screwdriver? I have to teach him the important things of life. So I say this thing to him. I say, hey, look at that, Zeke. It's pretty cool. There's a telephone booth with a Christmas tree inside it. To which he says to me, Dad, what's a telephone booth? So I quickly answer the question. I just say, well, Zeke, a telephone booth is something that you would go inside to make a phone call. And I answered it very quickly, not thinking much about it. And he responds and he says, oh. And that's all he says was, oh. But here's what his mind said. His mind said, why the freak wouldn't you just use a cell phone, right? I mean, that's really what he's thinking. I looked into his eyes, and his eyes just said, why wouldn't you use a cell phone? Because the truth is he was born in 2008. In 2008, the BlackBerry already wasn't cool. Okay? I mean, he was born post-BlackBerry, all right? So no doubt the younger generation has more of a distraction problem. But the reality is that we always look at the generation younger than us, and we think that they're the problem. So if any of you here are baby boomers, you look at Generation X, and you say, Generation X is so distracted. Us boomers, we are way more focused, right? And Generation X, you look at Y, and you say, those Ys, we are so much better than they are. They are the distracted ones. And of course, you all look at the millennials, right? I'm a millennial. You look at the millennials and you all say to the millennials, you guys are the real problem, right? Well, the truth is, by a survey that was done by salary.com, shows that this is the percentage that say that they are distracted. Now, I would actually argue that millennials are just more honest. I think that baby boomers are just as distracted. They just don't admit it as much, right? So 78% of baby boomers are distracted. So you think you're so much better, but meanwhile, almost 8 out of 10 of you have said you're distracted, right? Okay, millennials are a little worse. We're 93%, right? So here's where this comes from. This comes from a study that was done at salary.com, right? And they did a study of how many people waste time at work. And the study was that 89% of people admitted to wasting time at work. And I would say that 89% admitted it and 11% lied. Okay, because I think we will all admit that we have a little bit of waste. But if you're one of those 11%, okay, I'm gonna work on you to get you admit it. And here's what it came out to. 31% of people said they wasted roughly 30 minutes a day. Okay, all right, about a third. A third said they waste over an hour a day. 26% said they waste over 2 hours a day. I mean, unbelievable, right? So Who do you think wastes more, men or women? Who wastes more time, men or women? That is right. Men waste 91%, women 87%, which, by the way, CMK has more women than men. So we are already ahead of the game, right? Okay. And a quick question for you. Which industry wastes the most time? Anybody? It's obvious. Government, right? Of course, government wastes the most time. We know that they have the biggest problem, right? But the truth is that all of us, we check our phone every 6 to 10 minutes. How many of you still have the phone on the ground right now? Have all of you not touched it? Okay, but the truth is, how many of you have felt the phantom vibration, right? How many of you are checking? Yes, yeah, you've had that, right? The other day, Rob Taylor and I are out to lunch. We hear something. We're like, what is that? Is that your ringtone? Is it my ringtone? It was the TV. We thought it was a ringtone, right? So the truth is, and you guys all admit this, we are all checking our phones every 6 to 10 minutes. So we have to admit that the epidemic of distraction is real, okay? And we need to admit that we all have that problem. To a degree, we all do this every once in a while, right? Don't we all do that? Don't every once in a while we just say squirrel and we just get distracted and we pulled off course, right? And so I had this aha moment. I had an aha moment, and it was after I gave MPH squared. So most of you had either seen MPH squared at CMK Day or you've watched the video of it online. And so I'm focused on MPH squared, and that formula came from my heart. It was mindset, plan, habit of hard work. This is how I'm going to achieve. That was my mother. I thought it was my mother over there. Turn it on your phone. See, she's distracted. Distracted Nancy. So I had this aha moment. I'm in the middle of MPH squared, right? The mindset, the plan, and the habit of hard work. And after that, I said, okay, I've got these goals I want to have in life, and I know I have to have the mindset, I know I have to have the plan, and I know I have to have the habit of hard work. And so I'm using that formula, and here's what I realized. I keep getting distracted. I keep losing my focus. So at the same time, it's about November, December, I'm thinking about what am I going to share at CMKickoff. We hadn't even named this event. It was the Spring Fling. I don't know what it was before. But I was like, what am I going to share next for CMK? What's the next thing? And I said, well, I just got to dig from my life. What's happening? And I realized I'm losing focus. So I need to talk about focus, right? So I had to admit that I had a problem. So here's what I want us to do. Are you guys ready to admit that you have a problem? Now, maybe you think you're only a casual distractor, okay? Maybe you think, all right, I get a little distracted, but some people are way more distracted than me. That's okay. And maybe some of you are like, oh my goodness, Christian is like talking straight to me. I am such a distracted person. But we all need to admit it, because if we don't admit it, then nothing else the rest of the night that I do is going to matter, right? So we have to have a little exercise that's going to make you uncomfortable, because I need you to own into this, right? So here's what we're going to do. We're all going to raise our right hand, right? Raise your right hand, repeat after me, and you don't use my name, you use your name, okay? Because I know what you're all going to do. You're all going to say, my name is Christian Klueg. So on the count of 3, you're going to fill your name in there, and you're going to say these words. You ready? Are you ready? Are you going to do it? Come on, get your hand up, Joe. Thank you. All right. Ready? 1, 2, 3. My name is Christian Klueg, and I'm a distractaholic. Oh, didn't that just feel good? You guys just feel that weight? You just admitted it, right? You admitted that there's a problem. Congratulations. Step number 1 is done. Now we can move on, all right? So now we're going to talk about why we are distracted, all right? And that's a little bit more, it's harder to answer than what you might think. You might just say, well, it's a phone, but let's dig into it a little bit more, okay? So Sun Tzu wrote the book called The Art of War, right? 6th century Chinese general, and here's what he said. If ignorant both of your enemy and yourself, you are certain to be in peril. So we need to understand this enemy of distraction, right? We need to really know what is causing the distraction before we can talk about what we're going to do to go against it, okay? So number 1, technology, okay? We know that technology is a major, major area of distraction. Number 1, the mobile revolution, all right? 25 years ago, none of us had these. None of us had these phones, right? Now we all have them. I think you've heard me give this joke before. There's 5 billion cell phones in the world, but only 4.5 billion people have indoor plumbing. All right, so 500 million people can check their phone, but they can't go to the bathroom in their own house. That's a true statistic, right? 4 billion people have brushed their teeth every day, according to the World Health Organization. So we have 1 billion people in the world with phones that don't brush their teeth. I mean, just think about the number of phones in society. How many people here don't have a smartphone or a cell phone? We all have them, right? So we know the mobile revolution has just dramatically changed the level of distraction that we have, right? Email. even if you don't check your email on your phone, email is just something that, and you can actually look at statistics. It used to be checked like twice a day. Now it's checked like, oh my goodness, like 87 times a day, every 6 to 10 minutes, right? Because it's coming right to your mobile device. So email, before you had to write the note. And by the way, why do we encourage you guys to write handwritten notes? Because now they mean so much more, right? You send someone a happy birthday email, it didn't mean a lot. Do that handwritten note, now it means a lot, right? So email. Notification anxiety, right? You just I see that little number up there. I got to go check it all the time. So I wanted to give you an example of this, right? So I grabbed this off of the internet. So this is not anybody I know. So that is 13,678 unopened emails, 148 text messages. Could you imagine that, right? Like my stress level would be through the roof. Now, I know what you're saying. Yeah, Christian, that's not a real person. Someone just made it. Okay, so what I did, I will not name who this person is, but I took a screenshot of someone's phone, right? Now, this person just happens to have a picture of my son as their background, so I'm not saying who this is. I'm not giving any names out of who this may be, but this person has 728 unopened emails. And I know this person, who would be unnamed, mother, will tell me that she didn't really use that, right? But she also has 2 Facebook, and usually she's got a line up there, right? I look at her phone and I said, Mom, how do you deal with this, right? So in her defense, that really isn't her email. I moved it off of her thing for her, right? But we all have that notification anxiety. All right, next thing is flat screens, right? Flat screens are so distracting. Meg and I are out to dinner up at the Melody Lodge maybe 2 months ago, and we go to sit down. I think it was Valentine's Day, and I go to sit down, and I see a flat screen across. I go, no, Meg, you sit here, right? Because I want her to look at the flat screen, so I am not distracted by the flat screen, right? So I sit down. I'm all proud of myself. I'm thinking I'm not going to be as distracted. I can be focused on my wife. And then I sit down, and guess what I see? I like 5 flat screens across for me. They've got soccer, they've got basketball, they've got golf, they got the Weather Channel. It's like, oh my goodness, like you cannot get away from the flat screens. They are just literally everywhere. And then we have those weapons of mass distraction, right? The weapons of mass distraction are those social media channels. You got your Facebook, your Twitter, your LinkedIn, I don't care what you're on. It is so distracting, the social media. But really, these are the tools of distraction. These aren't the why. They're not the real why. So I want to dig in a little bit more. So, in the great words of this philosopher in about the mid-1990s, was a philosopher named Sean P. Diddy Combs or Puff Daddy. I don't know what name he's going by today, but him and Notorious B.I.G. had this philosophy, and it was that what? It's all about what? It's all about the Benjamins, right? You guys know the song, right? Does Amanda and Jamie need to come sing it? It's all about the Benjamins, right? So why are these people really distracting us? Is they're after our money. The social media channels, they didn't make this to make your life better, right? They didn't create all these things to make your life better. They may do that in the process, but at the end of the day, they want your money, right? How much is spent on cell phone bills nowadays? So it's all about the Benjamins. That's what people are coming to us. That's why we're being distracted. They're after our money. So I wanted to give you an example of this, of something that can distract us, which will cost money, right? So fantasy football, I will be happy to say I have never been involved in fantasy football. And there's a reason for that. It's because I am honestly afraid of how addictive fantasy football is. Now, I won't make anyone raise their hand if they're in fantasy football because it is an addictive thing. In 2012, Americans paid, not lost productivity, paid $1.7 billion to play fantasy football. That's what they paid into pools. That's what they paid for. People have coaches for their fantasy football team. Dead serious, right? People hire coaches so they can make their fantasy football team bigger, right? Or better, or whatever, right? Lost productivity, $18.7 billion. Ladies and gentlemen, I just figured out how to solve Social Security. We just need to outlaw fantasy football, right? Social Security will be fixed in no time. $18.7 billion. So here's to all you people trying to waste more time at work playing fantasy football, right? So, but maybe you don't play fantasy football, but maybe these look familiar to you, you're right? So who knows what the one on the left is? That's the only one that I played. Angry Birds. Come on. There's something about just pulling that bird and hitting the pig. I don't know why it's addictive, but it is, right? This one here. Ask Lisa Swift about that. She's not here tonight, but she is a Candy Crush player. This one I just learned about called Clash of Clans. It's like fantasy football, but not even real. It's like a fantasy of a fantasy. I don't understand it. And then you got Farmville, right? See, the makers of these games, they intentionally make them addictive so you continue to play them because they want your money. They want your money, right? Farmville actually plays off a very basic human behavior that we don't want to let our friends down, right? So what happens in Farmville if you don't play? You hurt your friends' crops and they die, right? So you feel, correct? I've never played Farmville, but I've read about it. And that's one of the things that they did. They designed Farmville so you would feel bad if you didn't play because your friends' crops would die. So they used our basic human, when you drive by someone and you see they're changing a tire on the side of the road, you feel an obligation to help your neighbor out. That's what they did with Farmville. They took a basic human principle and they just ripped it out and they distracted us, right? But they're after our money. They're after our money. These companies are making massive amounts of money, all right? The old gaming systems are not making as much money as these. But it's not always about money. Sometimes we're being distracted because the person causing the distraction wants to achieve a goal that makes us lose our goal, okay? So I wanted to come up with an illustration of this. And so when you go to a basketball game, the second half, the opposing team shoots into the student section at a college game, okay? So when they're making a foul shot, what are the students usually doing behind the basketball hoop? They're waving the things and trying to distract them. It's a very old technique, and it doesn't work, right? Because basketball players are used to it. They just get up there, nice and cool, and they shoot it, and they make it. Well, Arizona State University, they weren't the best basketball team, right? And the students said, we got to do something to help out our team. So they made this thing called the curtain of distraction. And so what would happen with the curtain of distraction is it was meant that it would cause the person shooting to fail so that way they could succeed. So right before, as soon as the player got the ball, so before he makes his dribbles, right, they would open up the curtain and you wouldn't know what would be coming out. So the guy knows the curtain's distraction. Oh, what's going to come out? Well, sometimes it might be Elvis, right? It may be an Elvis person. They're getting out there and gyrating, and the guy may miss the shot, right? Other times it might be a guy in a diaper who definitely should not have his shirt off, right? I mean, they would come up with some crazy things. My personal favorite, the Miley Cyrus impersonation of an overweight guy, all right? So that's the wrecking ball. I mean, he's got the midriff showing. I mean, if that guy popped out of the curtain right before you were going to make a foul shot, I think it'd be hard to make it. So Harvard did a study on the curtain of distraction, and they wanted to know, was it effective, right? Did it actually work? So here is what Harvard came up with. This was published in the New York Times. Here was the average free throws that were made at Arizona State University prior to the curtain of distraction. 31%, that were missed, 28%. Curtain distraction comes in, boom, 39.8%. It is actually estimated that the average team lost 2 points when they play away at Arizona State University, right? This was highlighted just recently on ESPN. So here's a good video. You ready?
The greatest Olympian in history. Now using Tempe as his home, training for another Olympic Games.
Oh, and it worked!
You know why this is great? Because Michael is such a good swimmer, he didn't go to college. So he's getting his college experience.
That's right.
That's great.
Two of them!
I mean, it's statistically proven that Arizona State University was able to distract the opposing team in order that they could achieve their goal of making you score less points. And that's the truth. A lot of times that's why we're distracted, because someone else wants us to fail so that they can win. But you know, the biggest one of why we're distracted is ourselves, right? Because we have this myth that distractions increase productivity. In fact, 53% of people will make that argument. 53%, so over half of you will tell yourself, or we have told ourselves, you know what, this distraction's actually going to make me more productive for the rest of the day, right? It's just a lie, people. It's just wrong. It's just not true, okay? You are not more productive the rest of the day because you went and played Angry Birds for 15 minutes. Now, with that said, breaks are okay. Breaks are okay. Take 15 minutes off. Go for a walk. Take 15 minutes and go into the break room and clear your head and reset your goals for the next few hours. But we cannot just have this idea that, these distractions are going to help me be more productive. The other thing is sometimes we want to be distracted. How many times has this been you? How many times have you been so overwhelmed by how much work you have, you're just like, please, where's the distraction? Oh, YouTube video of a cat. Sweet. Click. Now I don't have to worry about doing the mountain of work. How many of you have said, I just have so much work, I don't know where to start? You know where a good place to start is? Anywhere on that pile, right? Distraction is not going to make that pile get easier. In fact, the pile is still going to be there tomorrow. So sometimes it's the technology that distracts us. Sometimes it's people that want us to buy their product and they want to get money from us. Sometimes it's they want to distract us because they want to achieve their goal. And sometimes it's just us allowing ourselves to be distracted. So, number one, you're a distractaholic. You've admitted that, right? We're all still there. You haven't gone back on me yet. You are a distractaholic. Number two, we understand why we're being distracted. So now we're understanding the psychology and the reasons of why people are distracting us. Okay, now we got to talk about why we should care. Because at this point, you might be like, great, I'm distracted, but who cares? It's harmless, Christian. It doesn't really matter. So do you guys remember that video that we watched in the beginning? Right? There was this part in the video, and I actually heard a couple of people go, oh. They all went, oh, there was this part. And it was this one right there. We saw that screenshot come up and we all said, what a jerk, right? Now, we don't know this, but it looks like a father. He's on his cell phone on the seesaw, and there's the daughter, and she looks pretty ticked, right? And I mean, Microsoft didn't tell us that was a father-daughter, but it implies it, right? And then later on, we see another one. Now, this one's even worse because the kid's yelling at his dad, and his dad's going, yeah. And then he finally hits him in the head. And, you know, when you saw these, I think a little bit of all of us with kids, we all kind of went, I've probably done that before. That's probably been me, right? I've probably not paid attention to my spouse because I'm on my phone. I've probably not paid attention to my kids because I'm distracted by something, right? Now, in case you don't have kids, Microsoft was very, very clever to make sure they put something in that would speak to everybody. Did anyone catch that one? Did anyone catch that one? Because when you got to that scene, you said, well, now I really care about my distraction, right? I mean, guys, are you with me at least here? The guys, all right? When I saw that, I said, okay, I'm ready. I need to fix this distraction problem, right? Might be missing out on some opportunities. I'm just saying, all right? So why should we care? Why should we care? The reality is that distractions steal from our relationships. They do. They steal from the people that we want to spend life with. They don't allow us to have the relationship with our kids. They don't allow us to have the relationship with our spouse and our friends that we want to have because we're so distracted by whatever the distraction is, right? They take from our goals and dreams. They steal from our goals and our dreams. See, we have these goals in life. We have these dreams in life, and the distractions are just stealing away from them. They're not allowing us to achieve them, which is taking away from our future. Those distractions are stealing from what we think may happen in the future. See, we all have ideas. We all have a vision of what something may be that isn't right now. That's what vision is. But a distraction takes that away. A distraction does not allow us to achieve that. And the last one is time. How many times have you heard this? I wish there were more hours in the day. Oh, I say it. We all say it. What's one thing that you, me, and every other person in the world has in common? We all have 24 hours in the day. I don't care if you're a CEO of the biggest company. I don't care if you're a president. I don't care who you are. We all have 24 hours in a day. See, I would argue that we do have enough time. We're just spending it in the wrong places. We're putting our time into our distractions. See, the truth is, and this is a very basic principle that we all agree with. Ready? A man reaps what he... Yeah, we all know that, right? A man reaps what he sows. That's a principle that's been around for a long time. And we all admit that that is true. So here's a good phrase. This is a fact. And this is one that I want to remind myself all the time. You ready? Allowing ourselves to be distracted will almost always have an impact that's negative. Okay? Because one of the things that as I was on this personal development quest over the last 10 years, I want to ask people more successful for me how they did it. Right? How are you doing this? How'd you get that listing? How did you get that buyer? How did you lose weight? How did you run across the country, right? That's why we had Sean here. We want to hear from him. How'd you do it? What was it that drove you, right? So when I go ask people those questions, I've never heard anyone say, you know, Christian, the reason I am where I am today is because I got distracted. I've never heard anybody say that, right? I didn't hear Brian Buffetti say, just allow yourself to be distracted and all your dreams will come true, right? That's not true. Allowing ourselves to be distracted will have an impact, and it's almost certainly a negative on our lives. So this is why we should care. So are you actually ready to do something about it? So I spent the last 35 minutes convincing you that there's a problem, telling you about why you're being distracted, and now telling you why you should care. So now I want to actually dig into what we're going to do about it, right? What are we going to do about it? So who's this guy? Anyone know who that is? That's Jim Rohn. That's right. Jim Rohn is an amazing guy, and he has this phrase, learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. It's right over there on the wall. Dave Straight designed that sign for us. The rest of it says, learn to work harder than on yourself than you do on your job, and you go from making a living to making a fortune. But I think you can take off that second part, and you can add in anything you want. You can go from having a good life to an amazing life. You can go from having a good relationship to an amazing relationship, whatever it is. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Society is going to continue to try to distract us for all the reasons I just said before. We have to learn how to be sharper. We have to learn how to be better in order to not be distracted. So how do we do that? So it's the resources. And this is something that about 5-6 years ago, I finally said, you know what? I need to start doing that. All right? I need to start improving myself. I need to start working harder on myself than I am on just putting that deal together. Because if I work harder on myself, the deal's going to go together. If I become better at what I am and I'm not distracted as much, if I work better on my skills, just yesterday, who was here yesterday when I had that lovely phone call? Who was in the office? Oh, Beth. And I went on the phone call and I said, guys, sing a happy song. I said, I need to get in a good mood because I'm about to go on a very difficult phone call. And the guy actually said to me, he's like, I thought you were going to be a lot more pissed than you are. Because I had gotten better. 5 years ago, I probably would have just called him up and just told him off, and he would have hated me the rest of his life. But I was able to handle it gently, right? Because I got better. I've listened to stuff. I've learned stuff. So books and CDs. That's why we have a library over there. Because I know that when we work harder on ourselves than we do on our job, that we're going to be able to reach the goals that we have in life. Books and CDs. Every week, I'm listening or reading a new book. Every week, I'm hearing people telling me books I should read, and I'm adding them to my read list. Number 2 is conferences. Every time I go to a conference, I tell myself, I don't have time for this. And every time I come back, I'm going, I'm so glad I went, right? If it's a 1-day conference, a 3-day conference, I don't have time for this. And then I go there and I pick up one thing that I bring back that changes the way that I live my life. And that doesn't just impact my business. It impacts my life. It impacts my family. It impacts my friends. It impacts my faith. Conferences. Number 3, synergy. And this is the reason why CMK is successful. I've said that for years. 1 + 1 equals 3. 1 + 1 equals 11, right? 1 + 1 equals 11. That is from Napoleon Hill, who wrote the book Think and Grow Rich. When 2 people come together, they equal way more than they would if they're independent. See, the truth is that none of us could do what we are doing right now at CMK if we were the only one here. I couldn't do what I do if you weren't all here, and you all couldn't do what you are doing if this team wasn't here. That's the synergy, and that's what Sean was talking about. Surrounding yourself with positive people. I have the acronym that I got from, I think, Zig Ziglar, SNIOP. Do not be susceptible to the negative influence of other people. When you surround yourself with people that say you can't do something, sooner or later you're going to admit to yourself that you can't do it, right? So you got to surround yourself with people who think like you think. Sharpen the saw. And by the way, synergy is the 6th habit of highly effective people, which is on the back wall. Those 7 principles that are on the back wall behind you are from Stephen Covey. 7 habits of highly effective people. Synergy. Surrounding yourself with people who think the same. And number 7 is sharpen the saw. We have to continually get better. At no point will I ever be able to say, you know what? I've now read enough books. I've now gone to enough conferences, listened to enough CDs that I've got it. I don't ever need to improve. That's never going to happen. We continually have to sharpen the saw. So would you agree with me? A good year starts with a good month, right? If you want to have a good year, start having a good month, right? And if you want to have a good month, start with a good week, all right? You're with me. Have a good week starts with a good day. And if you want to have a good day, you start with a good morning. So I read this book 3-4 months ago. Let me tell you how this came about. Liza Vienna, who's the CEO of CMK Marketing, she goes, Christian, you'd love this book called The Miracle Morning. You should read it. In The Miracle Morning, it says how to transform your life before 8 a.m. And I'm like, I don't need to read this. I already wake up at 4 a.m. I ordered the book, and honestly, I think I ordered it so I would read it and feel good about myself, right? I'm like, this is a book that isn't going to make me feel like I need to do something different than I'm already doing, so let me read it because it'll make me feel good. So I put it in my stack of books to read. It's like book number 6. And Amanda says, hey, can I borrow that? I'm like, yeah, it's like 6 down the list. Go ahead, read it. So she reads it. 3 days later, she's like, that was amazing. It changed my life. I'm like, oh, okay. The next day, I'm like, wow, something's different about it. That book went to the top of the list. And I read it, and I will tell you this, it changed my life. Now, I could say it changed my life about 6 books. All right, there's about 6 books that changed my life. This being one of them, the Bible, Start With Why, Work by Referral, Brian Buffini. So I could make a list of 6 books that changed my life. But this one absolutely changed my life because what it made me realize is that activity does not equal achievement. That's from John Wooden, the NCAA coach. See, I was getting up at 4 a.m., but honestly, I would get some work done, but I wasn't strategic. I was just doing whatever. I had no plan. And my mornings were not what they needed to be. I was not having a miracle morning. It's not necessarily about the time you wake up. It's about your process of wake up and what you get done. So later on, we're going to come back to that book. But that book made me rethink my day. I had to have a strategic plan of how I'm going to stay focused on my day. So that's where this seminar came from. So here's where we're going to dig into the nitty-gritty of what you're going to do to keep your focus for the day. So as you know, I love acronyms, right? So Amanda helped me out with this. We came up with an acronym of FOCUS, right? And so we're going to give you one for each letter. So F is eat the frog. O, one thing at a time. C, concentrate on your goals. U, use your time wisely. And S, starve your distractions. I'm going to break each one of them down right now. I'm going to talk about what each one of them mean. And I have to remind myself of this every single day because it's so hard to stick to this. So number 1, eat the frog. Does anyone know what eat the frog means? Do the most difficult thing first. I mean, who wants to eat a frog? How much would you have to get paid to eat the frog? I don't know. $5,000? Would I eat a frog for $5,000? I probably would. I don't know. I probably, I do it for $5,000. I probably do it for $1,000, honestly. So I have 500. I'll do it. All right? Eat the frog means to tackle the most challenging thing first. See, here's what happens. Who here makes a checklist for the day? Here's the things I'm going to get done. Right? I got 20 things. We get to the end of the day, we got 18 done, and what do? Oh, yeah, I got 18 done. But the 2 you didn't get done were the most important things, and the 18 you got done didn't matter. See, we should focus on the 2 things that matter, not the 18 that really don't. That's why we tackle the most challenging or the most important thing first, right? So Mark Twain says this, if it's your job to eat a frog, it's best to do it first thing in the morning. If it's your job to eat 2 frogs, you better eat the biggest one first. All right? So Mark Twain says, go right to the hardest thing first. And I tell you, that is difficult to do because it feels so good to just knock off all the easy stuff, right? But you got to go to those most important things first, right? Oh, one thing at a time. One thing at a time. See, we have this myth that multitasking makes things better. And there's 2 different types of multitasking. There's like I've got to go to Amsterdam and pick up X, so while I'm down that way, I'll do 2 more errands. Okay, that's good multitasking. Okay, that just makes sense. But when you're in your office trying to do 3 or 4 or 5 different things at a time, that's not multitasking. That's just doing 5 things badly at the same time because you're not giving it your full focus, right? Focus on one important goal and be single-minded about it. That's what Larry Page said, the co-founder of Google. Focus on one thing. If there's something important to you, so when Sean set that goal of running across the country, do you think that someone could go, hey, Sean, I got this great idea. We want to go hike we want to become 46ers this summer. Could he have become a 46er in the summer in the Adirondacks and run across the country? No, he had to have one goal. One thing he didn't share, but I want to bring it up, is I asked him, I was like, what was your training like? And he told me that he would put his son on the bus, start running, run all day, get home, and get his son off the bus. Do you think there was room for other goals when he had that big goal, right? One thing at a time. Now, your one goal might only take you an hour, okay? So don't worry. You don't have to not do anything else in life, but take that one thing and make it the most important thing that you're going to do. See, successful people don't do everything. They learn to focus on the most important tasks, and they make sure they get them done. That's it. That's why successful people have more, quote, time, because they just focus on the most important thing, and they get it done one thing at a time. C, concentrate on your goals. So I've shared this with you before, and I'll share it again. 4 or 5 years ago, I'm in a conference, and it says, who here writes down your goals? I was like, I don't write down my goals. If you write down your goals, you're 42% more likely to reach them. I want to be 42% more likely to find them. I'll write my goals. Wrote them down, right? And then next year, I'm at another conference. Says, who here writes down your goals? I'm like, yeah, I got my goals written down. He goes, who knows what they are? I'm like, yeah, put my hand down. Because on December 31st, half of us get our goals out. We open them up and we go, let's see if I got lucky, because I have no clue what they are. Because I wrote them on January 1st and I forgot about them, and it's like the lottery, right? It's exciting on December 31st, right? So why don't we write down our goals? and read them every single day. I tried to find a statistic how much more likely you are to reach your goals if you read them every day. I couldn't find one online. But here's what I will guarantee you. If you write down your goals, statistically you're 42% more likely to reach them. But if you write them down and then actually read them every day, I'm pretty confident you're going to reach your goals because it's right in front of you. It's because you can't miss it, right? So every morning I'm reading my goals. In fact, I carry my goals with me everywhere. That way, if I've got 5 minutes, they're right here. I can read them 3, 4, 5 times a day because I keep my goals in front of me. It keeps me focused on that goal. Number 2 is journal. This one was tough for me to do. See, I listen to books and trainers and of successful people that say, here's what you need to do to be successful. And they all say, you should journal. And for like 2 years, it's funny. My journal, I'm journaling now, you'll see, like I try it and then I skip a year and then I'm there and then I skip a year. It's that true. I like tried and didn't work. And I'm like, dude, journaling's like such like a Lisa Frank thing. I mean, it's like, girls, Lisa Frank is, right? Like girly stuff. I'm like, journaling's for chicks, man. I don't want to do that, right? I've been journaling now since January 1st this year, and I got to tell you, it's been awesome because I can go back and read from 2 months ago, and I go, wow, yeah, look at what's progressed over the last 2 months. Look at the things they're accomplishing. Number 3, vision board. Same thing. This was my frog. Amanda, was this my frog? Brent, I actually tried to delegate it to Amanda and Brent. I said, Brent, Amanda, can you, I need something very important if you do. Can you make a vision board for me? And they both looked at me and said, no, make your own vision board. I'm like, but I don't want to do arts and craft. And actually, Brent looked at me and goes, eat the dang frog and make your vision board. And the next day I made my vision board and I came right out. I go, I got it done. I was like a kid with my work. I'm like, got it done, Brent, got it done, Amanda. But I got my vision board and it's got the pictures of my kids and in the home I want to buy and this and that. And my sub-19 5K is on that vision board. I want to try to hit that this year, okay? So the vision board, it just helps you visualize the things that you're going to do. Checklists. Checklists are simple things that we can have in front of us knowing what we need to get done for that day. Long-term planning. Most people don't plan past the day, right? Plan out 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, a year. I try to set my calendar for the entire year if I can, right? Use your time wisely. Schedule everything. Schedule everything. If you want to learn how to schedule, go watch the video by Stephen Covey called Big Rock, Small Rock. Just go on YouTube, type in Big Rock, Small Rock, Stephen Covey, and watch the video on scheduling. So, and I don't remember who this was, so don't worry if it was you. I won't pull you out because I don't know who it was. I was talking with an agent the other day, and we were talking about scheduling. And I said, well, let's go over your schedule. And they said, yeah, I schedule the most important stuff. All my important stuff's in there. I said, great. Give me an idea of a week. So the agent's telling you what's in their week. And I said, I didn't hear anything about your family. I didn't hear anything about your kids. I didn't hear anything about your own free time. Oh, well, I don't put that stuff in there. But you told me you put the most important stuff in. Oh, yeah, I guess that's right. We should put that in. And I didn't always do that. So once a month, I take Meg out on a date. Remember the Melody Lodge story? On Monday before that, I go, oh, crap, I got a date on Friday night. I got to figure out where we're going, right? So because every second Friday of every month, we have a date night. So it's in my calendar. I'm going to take Megan a date because it's in my calendar, right? I had a schedule. Include what is most important in life, your kids, your family. Use your time wisely. Do creative work first. We kind of talked about that before. When your mind is sharp, I just have this own formula in my own mind. What takes me an hour late in the day, I can do in 15 minutes early in the day. Right? What takes me an hour late in the day, I can do in 15 minutes early in the day. So do that creative work first. So I was talking with my coach, and I said, man, I'm in a lot of meetings, and I'm just like, I want to cancel all of them. And he goes, you can't do that. You got to have meetings. I said, okay, but when do I do them? He goes, when's your least productive part of the day? I said, 1 to 3 o'clock. He goes, that's when you do your meetings. Oh, that makes sense, right? So I moved all my meetings to 1 to 3 o'clock, right? Because meetings need to be done, but meetings don't necessarily require you to be absolutely sharp, right? So let's move it there. So maybe when you're setting your schedule with your clients, maybe you should do your showings in certain times. And maybe you need to do your calls at certain times and maybe this at certain times. Schedule that in. Do the creative work first. Save tasks that require less brain power for the afternoon. S, starve your distractions, which will feed your focus. So this was actually something that was really funny. So attorney Paul Klueg, have you ever noticed he has a fan in his closing table? Has anyone ever noticed that when you're at the closings at Klueg, he's always got a fan running? And for like 10 years, I never asked him. So finally one day I'm like, why do you have a fan running in the office? He goes, oh, it's just white noise. It just makes the atmosphere so much easier. I said, huh, So I went back to my office, I put a little fan in there, and every once in a while when I want to focus, I just turn it to 2 and just kind of make some noise out there, white noise. I mean, in here, we have the TV behind here, which has the music going on. If that goes off, it's just like, hey, guys, what's going on? It feels weird, right? Sometimes you just need that little background noise. Sometimes you just got to have that, right? Fan or music. Apps to lock your phone. Starve your distractions by making it so they can't come after you. So there is a thing on a phone called an app blocker. I downloaded it. The app blocker, you can say, no Facebook app from 7 a.m. to noon. If you try to open it, it will say, unable to open until noon, right? So I did that for a lot of my apps. Text messaging, Facebook, Twitter, anything that I knew was taking a lot of my time, I would put it into the app blocker. And a lot of times I would still try to open it up, and then it would tell me this is blocked until 8 o'clock. So then I would know, oh, well, you know what? I've got an hour and a half. I'll focus on what I need to focus on because I starved my distraction. And you can do that with Gmail as well. There's an app for Gmail that will make it so you can't check your Gmail for like an hour, right? Great. Good stuff. Sign on the door. Sometimes just putting a sign on the door that says, hey, I'm getting stuff done. Sometimes you just got to go to the people in the office and just say, hey, guys, just so you know, I'm going to take the next hour. I'm on phone calls. Secret, sometimes I put earbuds in my ear. I'm not actually on the phone or listening to music. I'm just sending you all a message that says, I'm working on what I'm working on, right? So sometimes you just got to tell people I'm focused on what I'm working on. Find a quiet place. Find a quiet place. Sometimes that means getting out of the house or getting out of the office or going somewhere where you can just have no distractions. Warren Buffett, one of the richest men in the world, lives in Nebraska. And here's what he said when he was asked why. He said, I used to feel when I worked in New York, I used to feel when I worked in New York that there was more stimuli just hitting me all the time. It's much easier to think here. So he says, I'm not as productive in New York. When I'm in Nebraska, I'm more productive. So I think Northville and Broad Albany are great places to live, right? Less distractions in small towns. So what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? Well, there's a sign on the back wall right there. It says the intention of the heart is the starting point of all progress in life. See, the truth is that even with all this information, even if you've admitted that there's a problem, even if you understand why you're being distracted, even if you understand why you should care, even if I've given you the tools to do it, if you don't want to make a change, if you don't in here actually want to stop being distracted, it does not matter, right? The intention of the heart is the starting point of all progress in life. That is the sign. See, you have to make a decision. And I will guarantee you that a year from now, you will wish you had started today. I can't tell you how many things I've thought about, oh, I'd love to do that. And then a year later, I haven't done it. And I go, man, I wish I did that a year ago. So I don't care if you're whatever age you are. I don't care what goals they are. You will wish a year from now that you started today. But I can't make those decisions for you, and you can't make those decisions for me. It's only me that can make my decision.
We have all heard those sayings. Keep your eye on the ball. Keep your eye on the prize. We have heard them so much that they become background noise. Noise in an ever-increasing, fast-paced society. Those words laugh at us as we continually get pulled off course and lose our focus, distracted by all the noise around us. No longer is it just a fruit on a tree that grabs our attention. Today it's everything. Everything is out to distract us, to steal our dreams, our hopes, our ambition. Our culture has become a thief, taking from us our relationships and robbing us of our very purpose. At some point, you have to take a look at yourself and ask, is this what I want in life? Continually falling behind, losing to every distraction, fighting to control my time and my actions? Do I really care about that more than my hopes and dreams? Am I really unable to stand up against those lies, or am I just unwilling? Unwilling to accept that if I want my hopes and dreams, I have to draw a line in the sand. I have to stand up and say no to myself, not to anyone else, because no one else can fight this for me. It is a battle that I must wage. I must remind myself that every time I lose focus, I am stealing from my hopes and my dreams and allowing the thief of distraction to steal and destroy. Today I say no more. I am ready to make my life what I want it to be. No more am I willing to take from my relationships, from my hopes, from my dreams, from my future and throw it away. No more will I allow myself to take my eye off the prize. Today I will focus. I will focus on what is really important. The power is in my hands to create an extraordinary life. I will set in motion today the steps necessary to create the future I want. Today I take control. I look at the life I want. I set my plan to get there and focus. Focus all I have. No regrets. No I could have. Life in focus.
So Dave made that video for me, and for the last week I've watched it just about every morning to get me pumped up. I even put it in my earbuds on a 20-minute run, and I listened to it 10 times in a row. I picked up my pace, by the way. It made me move a little bit faster. But the truth is, I have to remind myself of that. I have to remember that every time I get distraction, I'm stealing away from what I want to achieve in life. So it's time to take action. Time to take action. And I hope today you're going to leave here and want to take action. And so I want to give you the resources that I use. I'm just up here telling you what works for me. I'm on this journey of life. I'm just going through trying to achieve the goals I have in life, which are in real estate, are with my kids. And see, here's what happens. You guys all know what you got to do in real estate. You already have the resources at CMK, but we just have to be able to focus on them. So number one is the Miracle Morning. So after I read the Miracle Morning, I called them up and I ordered a box of Miracle Morning. So before you leave tonight, I want you to grab a Miracle Morning, okay? And he actually sent me, so I have 60 copies of it, so grab one before you leave. It's one of the easiest books to read. Like literally you can read it in 2 hours. And it's cool, I got a signed copy out of it too. So next thing is a thing called the Win the Day Sheet. So in your folder on the left-hand side, I believe there's a Win the Day Sheet all the way at the bottom. So this is something, can I have one, Amanda? This is something that I created and made, and I found out Buffini does the same thing. I swear I did not copy Buffini. I didn't even know he did it, right? So I started with a very basic plan, and I said, okay, what are my 2 most important things I want to get done today? So I fill one of these out every single morning. Every morning, 4:15 a.m. in the office, I fill this out. What are the 2 most important things for me to get done? And I put them in there. What are 3 secondary goals? And the most important things don't mean they're hard. They're just the most important. What are 3 secondary goals? I put them in. What are my routines? So one of my routines every morning is the Miracle Morning. And then other days, depending on the day, I have another routine that I have to do. And by the way, my Miracle Morning is an entire routine itself. So if I don't do my Miracle Morning, I automatically lose the day. And then I can add up those points at the end of the day. I will lose the day if I have 0 to 5 points. I will win the day if I have 6 to 8 points. And I will crush the day if I have 9 points. In 2 months, I have only crushed 3 days. It's very difficult, but I've won way more days than I've lost. And some days I lost a day. Yesterday, I lost a day because of that guy that I had to talk on the phone with. It took an hour out of my day. And other days, I look at my sheet at 3 o'clock and I go, crap, I'm going to lose the day. So for the next 2 hours, I'm doing these things because I'm going to win the day. Right? And then the next morning, I review that sheet, and things I didn't get done just get moved over. I have been doing it. And what's interesting, the first week, it was very difficult to do. And then after the first week, it actually got easier because I was getting things done. I'm like, well, what am I going to put on the sheet today? Like one day, I just put jump on the trampoline with my kids. That was one of the things I wanted to do. Jump on the trampoline with my kids. That's an important thing for me to do that day, right? So the Win the Day Sheet. The next thing, which is really, really cool, is a flip calendar. So I made one of these for my campaign. So I will tell you, and I gave this to my campaign manager who's run many campaigns, and he said it was one of the best things he'd ever seen. So at day 205 left till my primary, I put this on my desk, not this one, but one like it, and it said at 205 days till the primary. As of this morning, there's 146 days left till the primary. I know that because every single day I flip it over. It keeps my goal right in front of me. So this is a summer challenge calendar that you're all going to get. And you're going to start on May 5th. It says there's 123 days left in the summer challenge. Right? And every day you're going to flip that over, and then you'll be on June 17th, and there's 80 days left, right? Because every day you just flip it over, and it's right in front of you, reminding you of what your goal is, to how much time you have left. And I've done that for my campaign, and once again, it's helped me realize, holy cow, 146 days. I've got these things I have to get done every day. By the way, one of the things I usually do on my routine, Miracle Morning, the other thing is 30 minutes of phone calls for my campaign every single day. So at 3:15 today, I came out here, who was Dave Strait, and I said, Dave, I'll come back out in half an hour. I got to go get something done. You know why I had to get it done? Because if I didn't do it, I was going to lose the day. And I went in, and I made, 6 phone calls, and I got 3 votes. Good. And one guy said, Christian, thank you for calling me. I really appreciate you calling me. I'm excited to vote for you, and have a great day. Good. All right? That was 3 votes. That was my half hour. If I did that every single day for 146 more days, you think that's going to help me win my primary, right? That's my goal. Next thing is the summer challenge. This was out there earlier. It's in your folder. Here's what the summer challenge is. You guys told me what you wanted and I listened. Okay, so don't ever say I don't listen to you. You all said, Christian, just make it easier. All right, so for every 100,000 sold between May 5th and September 5th, you get a $25 cash bonus and a $25 tech education credit. And here's how easy it is. Prove to me that it helps your business. That's it. Prove to me that it helps your business and it qualifies. Here's our goals. 175 new listings as a team, 30 million in pending volume. Both goals we actually reached last year, okay? But we were so over last year's goals, and I'm actually a little concerned about the 175 listings. Got to tell you, the market's hot. It's a little harder to get listings this year, right? Because things are selling so quickly. So there's our goals. We have never not missed the summer challenge goal, and I don't think we will miss it this year either, okay? I want to tell you guys that tonight was a lot of work by a lot of people who didn't come up here, all right? First of all, Amanda worked very hard on tonight. Trish worked very hard on tonight. Trish put these all together, right? So a lot of people did a lot of work to make tonight happen. Sean, coming and speaking, thank you. That was just an inspiring story. Next time I'm out on a 8-mile run, I'm just going to be like, yeah, I got nothing to complain about, 50-some miles a day, unbelievable. But I want to leave us with this, is that CMK it's something that for me has been more than just selling real estate. It's been more than just collecting a paycheck. It's something that's continually challenged me to stretch. It's continually made myself step out of my comfort zone and say, what can I achieve? What can I do? Not stay back here and just be like, yeah, no, I just want to be comfortable. And the truth is, if we do that, guess what? Someone else out there, they're going to be willing to step out, right? And that's what's kept us doing this. That's what's kept all of us growing, is because we continually are saying, yeah, we're ready to step out. We're ready to push ourselves outside our comfort zone to achieve our goals. And I know that there's going to always be more and more challenges that we have to face every day. Today it's distraction. Next year it might be something else. Next year there might be something else that's happening in the marketplace that's more of an issue. But I didn't talk at all about real estate training tonight. I didn't talk to you about price adjustments. I didn't talk to you about listing presentations. I didn't talk to you about, working your COI. Why? Because I've kind of beat that dead horse a lot, right? And the truth is, that's not our challenge to be successful in real estate. Our challenge is the focus. And I know that because that's what I'm challenged with. It's not the tools, it's not the resources, it's our focus. So I hope tonight was inspiring. I hope tonight was challenging. And I want to thank you all for coming. I know we're probably a couple minutes over, but I thank you for being patient. Feel free to hang out as long as you want. Grab some more food. We don't want to take it home. And thank you all for coming.